Movie camera, ambitious but lazy. This story will change you forever. Tales with English, The Ambitious Dreamer. Studio microphone narration style. Motivational, emotional, reflective. Soft background music recommended. Piano plus light strings. Intro. They say ambition is a fire that burns within you. But what if the fire burns bright, yet you never move toward it? This is the story of a young man whose dreams were larger than life. But his laziness was greater than both his will and time combined. And how one unexpected event changed him forever. Chapter 1. The Dreamer of Dawn. In the small, sunlit town of Greville lived a 24-year-old man named Ethan. Ethan was a dreamer, not an ordinary one. His mind overflowed with visions of success, luxury, fame, and respect. He would wake up late every morning, scroll through his phone, and imagine his future self, standing on stage, receiving awards, wearing a fine suit, being admired by all. He used to say to his mother with a grin, "Greater than, just wait, Mom. One day, I'll be someone important." And his mother, ever patient, would smile softly and say, "Greater than, that day will come, Ethan. But remember, dreams only work when you do." Ethan nodded each time, but his days remained the same, empty cups of coffee, half-written plans, and promises postponed till tomorrow. Chapter 2. The Circle of Tomorrows. Ethan was ambitious, but he had one enemy stronger than any other: comfort. He loved the comfort of his bed, the comfort of thinking instead of doing, and the comfort of believing that time was infinite. Each night, before sleeping, he would whisper to himself, "Greater than, tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow." But tomorrow came, and so did the next, and the next. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and yet, Ethan had nothing to show for it. His friends were getting jobs, starting businesses, studying abroad, while he was still stuck dreaming. He began to feel something deep inside, a quiet guilt, whispering that he was wasting his life. But he silenced it by saying, "Greater than, I just haven't found the right time yet." Chapter 3. The Mirror of Reality. One morning, as Ethan sat in his favorite cafe, he met Daniel, an old school friend. Daniel was once just like him, a dreamer. But now, Daniel owned a successful startup, had employees, and was living the life Ethan fantasized about. Ethan smiled, trying to sound confident. "Greater than, man, you're lucky. You really made it." Daniel looked at him and said something that hit harder than any insult. "Greater than, luck, Ethan, I worked every single day for 5 years while everyone else was talking about working someday." Daniel's words were sharp, but not cruel. They were a mirror, showing Ethan what he had become, a talker, not a doer. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He looked around his room, dusty books, unfinished notebooks, his old vision board fading on the wall. He whispered to himself, "Greater than, am I wasting my life?" Chapter 4. The Spark of Shame. The next day, Ethan sat down to start something, anything. He opened his laptop, stared at the screen, and nothing. 10 minutes later, he was watching videos, scrolling aimlessly, and convincing himself it was research. Hours slipped away like sand. By night, he felt empty, again. He looked in the mirror, and for the first time, he saw a man filled with dreams, but no discipline. Tears welled in his eyes as he whispered, "Greater than, what's wrong with me?" He wanted success, yet he hated the struggle. He wanted results, yet feared the effort. He was ambitious, but lazy. Chapter 5. The Stranger on the Bench. One evening, Ethan went for a walk in the park, lost in thought. There, he saw an old man sitting on a wooden bench, feeding pigeons. Ethan sat nearby, and after a while, the old man spoke. "Greater than, you look heavy, son. Not in body, but in heart." Ethan smiled weakly. "I guess I am. I feel like I'm wasting my life." The old man nodded slowly. "Greater than, ambition without action is like a bird with broken wings, it dreams of flying but never leaves the ground." Ethan looked at him, silent. The man continued, "Greater than, do you know why most people fail, even when they want to succeed? Because they chase motivation instead of discipline. Motivation fades, but discipline stays. Those words burned into Ethan's mind. Before leaving, the man said, "Greater than, every day you waste is a day stolen from the person you could have become." Chapter 6. The First Step. The next morning, Ethan did something different. He woke up early. The alarm screamed at 6 a.m., and though his body begged to sleep, he whispered, "Greater than, not today." He made his bed. He brewed coffee. He opened his notebook and wrote one line. Greater than, discipline over desire. He set one goal for the day, just one. And he completed it. It wasn't much, but that night, when he went to bed, he felt something he hadn't in years: peace. Chapter 7. The Battle Within. Days passed. Ethan began to change, slowly, painfully, but surely. He woke early. He worked for hours without distractions. He failed often, but he didn't quit. There were days he wanted to give up, when laziness whispered, "Greater than, you've done enough for today." But then, he remembered the old man's words. He remembered the bird with broken wings. And he kept going. Bit by bit, Ethan rebuilt himself. Chapter 8. The Test. 6 months later, Ethan faced his first real test. His project proposal was rejected. The old Ethan would have quit immediately. But the new Ethan looked at the email, took a deep breath, and said, "Greater than, okay, let's try again." He didn't cry. He didn't complain. He just worked harder. That was the moment he realized, the true enemy was never failure. It was his own comfort. Chapter 9. The Rise. A year later, Ethan launched his first online business, small, imperfect, but real. He earned his first $100. And that meant more to him than all the imaginary millions he'd ever dreamed of. His mother saw him smiling for the first time in years. She hugged him and said, "Greater than, I always knew you could do it. You just had to wake up." Chapter 10. The Lesson. Years passed. Ethan became the man he once dreamed of being. But not because of luck, talent, or timing. It was because he learned that discipline beats ambition every single time. When asked in an interview, "What changed your life?" he smiled and said, "Greater than, the day I stopped waiting for motivation, and started building discipline." Outro. The truth you need to hear. Maybe you're like Ethan. Maybe you dream of success, but you can't seem to move. Let me tell you this. Your dreams don't need a perfect plan. They need a start, a single step. Today, not tomorrow. You'll never feel ready.